What's going on, everybody?
Wait, hold on. Let me switch cameras. It's on me. I forgot how to switch it. Let's see.
Push cut.
Where's cut?
Boom, boom, boom.
Got it.
Boom, boom. If, Bert, if you hit, can you see it on the left?
Yeah.
No, the one way on the right? You can see what camera's on what? The monitor way on the right.
Oh, no.
Push the button on the bottom little switcher and move it to number 2 or number 1, whichever one inversely, and then it'll show it to you.
What are you talking about?
Okay, look under the third monitor on the left-hand side. There's a little box with some buttons on it. A blue button. Under the right in between the two monitors. Your right and left monitor. That button right there. Push it. What is it, a 2 or 1? Put it on number 1. Is that it?
Yeah.
Oh, glad you guys got to see all that stupid shit. You good now?
Yeah.
All right, everybody. What's going on? Sorry about the technicals. We just moved into a new office. It's been a minute. Still don't have everything together yet, but I just wanted to. I've been jonesing to do this for a very, very long time. Welcome, everyone, to the journey. I am Carlos Mencia. Over there is producer Bert.
What's up?
Did you say hi to everybody, producer Bert?
What's up?
All right, beautiful. God, we've been gone for such a long time. And I've just been trying to figure out, as you guys, for those of you that have heard the podcast before, you know, I've always been trying to figure out what it is exactly that I want to do. There's so many mixtures of stuff that I'm into. But I think that the first part of the journey where I kind of set up where I was, where I am, blah, 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 I think that's pretty much done. So what it's going to turn into now is pretty much me doing somewhat a week in review. It's pretty much what I do most of the time. And so I think that that's kind of where the majority of stuff is. So for those of you that don't follow, not only is the podcast a part of it, but, okay, so we do a bit of Mencia. And the bit of Mencia is something I post on that once a week I write like a little bit. And it's about what's going on, but it's not really going to stay in the act. And I think that there's 3 or 4 or 5 stories that normally happen every week that I kind of want to get into, but I just don't have time to do it on stage. So this is going to be the outlet for that stuff. And by the way, if there's any stories or anything that, you know, is some local news or I might have missed or you wish I would have talked about or you want me to talk about, just email me to carlosmencia@carlosmencia.com. And then we will, we'll definitely get on that and make it happen. So I haven't done a podcast from the beginning of the year. And, what strikes me the most about what's going on right now, well, there's so many stories, man. I guess the number one, you know what's crazy? I think what's crazy is how quickly news stories come and go, where maybe I'm wrong, man, but I feel like they used to last a little bit longer, and now it's almost like a 24-hour cycle, unless it's something really, really big. But one of the things that's going on right now is, I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but after, you know, the couple of mass shootings that we had, well, pretty much 3 consecutively, I believe in the past, week, that they've advertised that they've stopped 4 or 5 guys that they thought might be doing something. I'm not completely down on it because, to be honest with you, I don't know how I feel. I got pretty pissed off, to be honest. I really did. when I first heard that they had arrested some guy who they thought was going to do a mass shooting, and then they were talking about how they found out that this guy might be doing some stuff like that. And I just think you know what? I just think that it's stupid. That's all. We catch wannabe terrorists, or at least, I don't think. Let me stop. I don't think that terrorists right now want to or are planning on doing anything in America. Not because they don't want to, but why would they? We seemingly are a divided country. They don't need to do anything. I think the only thing that would happen right now if we were attacked by Muslim terrorists specifically, I think that it would unite America. It would bring us together. We would actually start wanting to become, Americans again, and all of a sudden it would be us against the terrorists, and boom, we're gonna get them, and So I literally think that right now they're just laying low because we're killing and destroying ourselves, fighting each other. The internet has been a blessing, and yet, oh my God,
And a curse.
Well, yeah, because nobody knows what's real anymore. And dude, I you know me, bro. I know a bunch of conspiracy theorists. And the internet has just made it so amazing for them because there's always somebody that posted something and knows, and they connect all the dots. I mean, I was talking to somebody who really, really legitimately thought that Epstein was killed by the Clintons. Like straight up thought that Epstein was killed by the Clintons. And I don't know, when it comes to conspiracy theories, here's how I look at it. If it took more than 3 people, I don't think that they would hold. I don't know anybody in my life that has ever kept a secret that I've given them. Do you, Producer
No.
Bert? Anybody out there? Do you legitimately a hardcore secret that was kept? Listen, we grew up in the hood, and there were times where people were murdered. There were times where there were many people around. But here's the thing. The cops maybe didn't find out who it was, but we always knew.
Always.
There was never a time, dude, where somebody got stabbed or shot that we didn't know who did it. That the neighborhood didn't know who did it.
Somebody knew. Yeah, exactly.
Somebody, because you know why? Because nobody could keep a secret. Even if there was only one dude there when they did whatever happened, it got out. It got out. That's why. Who was it? Was it the lady? Was it the a woman? She was a female. God, I wish I could remember. She was a female officer. It might have been in Baltimore, and she was just pissed because she was thinking the same. She was looking right in the camera saying, I know everybody knows. I know everybody knows. And we've gotten a couple of tips, but we haven't gotten enough tips. Now we know everybody knows, so let us know so we could do it. And from the outside looking in, that sounds really reasonable, right? That sounds reasonable. But snitches get stitches is like the low end of that. You get shot, you get stabbed, and that's the big problem, all right? So I live in a bad neighborhood. I live in a poor neighborhood. The vast majority of people that live in poor neighborhoods live there because they have to. Now, I say the vast majority because there's always the holdout, dude. Not every single person that lives in the hood lives in the hood. You could go to the blackest neighborhood. There's always going to be somebody non-black that used to live there a long time ago, and it started changing, and they refused to move. And I don't give a shit how many Latinos move. I don't care how many, and it doesn't matter. It's not a color thing. I've been here long enough. So as an example, I grew up in Los Angeles. Let's take South Central Los Angeles. A long time ago, it used to be pretty white, pretty much all white. And then it started becoming more and more African American. And now a lot of those neighborhoods are becoming more and more Latino, specifically like Central and South Americans. more Central American than anything else, some Mexicans. But there's always the holdouts, right? So there's the white man that held out that said, I refuse, I don't care how many black people move in. And now there's the black people that are like, I lived here from the get-go and I ain't never letting these Mexicans get me out. Like there's always those holdouts and that. But the majority of people that live in poor neighborhoods live in poor neighborhoods because that's where they have to live. And so here lies in the problem, right? The gangs are going to be there no matter what, right? So there's a gang, group of gangs, and they're 50, 60 guys strong. And you want me to rat on one guy knowing that there's somewhere between 39, whatever the numbers are. There's a bunch of guys that are going to stay there. Who's going to protect me from them? Like, who's going to protect us from them? I don't even know what the answer is. I don't have an answer because cops were never the answer. Well, actually, I do know what the answer is. And the answer is hope. Hope and the feeling that no matter what you do, it's not going to matter. Because that's when kids give up. That's when kids stop. I grew up in a neighborhood like this. And for me, it really always felt like the kids that didn't have hope were the ones that joined the gangs. Because I always thought I would live to be 80, 90 years old. And pretty much all my friends kind of grew up the same. But I remember when I would talk to, the gangbangers in the neighborhood, they would always say, well, hey, we're not going to live to be 25 anyway, Holmes. I mean, they just didn't have the faith. And then when they see, when you turn on the news and you hear that three people in the United States have more money than 90% of all Americans. 3 people.
Fucking crazy.
That's it. The top 1% has more money than the lower 98%. The top 1% has almost all the wealth. 3 people have over 90% of the wealth. So when you hear that, it feels like there's nothing you can do. No matter what you do, it ain't going to work out. But I think that we need to revisit some of this, right? And here's the thing about like billionaires like Bill Gates. After a certain amount of money, they pretty much give all their money to charities. I think they only keep like, what is it? Isn't it like a 90%? Don't they have a 90% pledge?
Some crazy.
A bunch of these guys, right?
Yeah.
Look it up, Bert. See what the pledge is. So I think that there's like a 90% pledge where if you're a billionaire, Bill Gates and those types of guys, Bezos or whatever, that they give 90% of their wealth away. Now, let's just get something straight. If you're making $1 billion a year, right? 10% is 100 million, just so you know. And if you have 10 billion and you just have it in the bank and they give you 3% on it, I mean, that's crazy money. But you can see how some people can feel like, fuck, well, no matter what I do, I'm not going to fall ahead. Here's my problem with that thought process, though. My problem with that thought process is that I think you need to establish what is the American dream. And I think that's completely different for everybody. And that becomes a problem. So, did you get it yet?
No, I'm trying to figure it out.
All right. So Bert, what to you, Bert, what is the American dream?
To me, just moving out of the hood, getting a house, cars.
How many cars?
Family. A couple cars.
All right. So how many kids? You got 2 kids. So 2 kids, 2 cars.
Yeah.
And you move out.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. So that's the American dream for you.
Yeah.
So now you guys can see, like, from Bert's perspective, he succeeded, right? He bought a house during the crisis and the whole thing and gave that up, but now he's at a different place and they're working on getting it. But that's the dream. So you can see how somebody like Bert wouldn't choose to get into the gangs, the lifestyle of gangs.
Oh, fuck that.
Well, no, but I mean, from my perspective, and you can clarify, from my perspective, it's pretty much what? I don't need to be uber rich. I don't need to be a millionaire. I don't need to have jets and all that kind of shit. All he wanted was to be able to move out of the hood and live in a nice place where you don't have to worry about what were the concerns about living in the hood, Bert? Because ironically,
Breaking into cars, breaking into your house, shootings, all that shit. You know?
okay, and here's the irony, man, and this is like so just, it's mind-boggling. We grew up in the projects, right? And there's a street called Floral that goes, by the side of the projects. On the other side of Floral Avenue is a different city. It's not Los Angeles anymore. And we grew up in East Los Angeles, but there's no such real thing as East LA. East LA is just a section of Los Angeles. There's no address that says East Los Angeles. You could put East LA, but it doesn't matter. You could put LA and it'll get to you anyway. It's about the zip code. But literally one street away is a really, really nice middle to upper middle class neighborhood where all the Chinese people lived. And it's called Monterey Park. And ironically, Bert literally lives, let me see, 1 block over. So 1 block over from Floral is, what's the name of the street?
No,
Yeah,
2
you
blocks.
live 1 block over.
No, 2 blocks.
2 blocks over?
Yeah, because it's College View, and then it's the next one.
Oh yeah, because I'm counting the big block
Right.
I'm counting the big block where 7-Eleven is.
Right.
Sorry about the geography. So literally 2 blocks over, and about 3 blocks down is where he lives now. And so literally a few blocks from where we grew up, he lives now in this nice house, and he never has to worry about all the shit that he would be worried about were he to live literally just down the street.
And it's funny because my neighbors the other day, they had one of the sons, I guess he bought some tires, and dude, he had them out in front of the house, like literally out in front of the house for like a few days before he put them on his Jeep. And I
brand
was
new
like,
tires.
Brand new, dude. It still had the the stickers on them and everything,
Right.
and I'm laughing and I'm going, dude, could you imagine if you did this like just down the street? Dude, you wake up and it's...
I believe, and maybe I'm wrong because times have changed, and I'm kind of I'm a bit disconnected from that kind of thing that we grew up. But I wonder if people that lived in the projects, right? Because the way it is, if a small percentage of them had those little cameras in the front of the house.
Oh, the rings
or whatever those versions are. They were the first ones that I remember coming out with them, but there are a lot of different versions of it.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if that would still happen. I believe that the hypes, when we grew up, would still do it.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt.
I believe that those guys who used to break, for you guys, when we were growing up there, if you bought a stereo, don't tell anybody. Don't play it hard. Cover it. I mean, I don't know if you guys. Well, it depending on how it depending on how old you are, but they literally used to, because of people stealing radios. They used to make radios. I think Blaupunkt were the first ones that came out with them that had a little lever, and you would shove it into the slot, and then when you left the car, you would take it out of the slot. But here's the problem. If you had a stereo that nice, you probably had nice speakers, and you probably had some amplifiers. So they would want to take your speakers and amplifiers even if they didn't take your radio. I mean, it was horrible in that respect. And I think looking back, I look at it much worse than I did because it's the way I grew up. It didn't bother me. It was what it was. But I do remember one time when my first car I bought was this Toyota Corolla hatchback.
The brown one?
Yeah. But the cool part was I wanted I didn't want to put good speakers in there. And so I literally took these speakers out of this old stereo system that were made out of wood. They looked like shit. They played okay, but they just look horrible. But they did the job. And I remember, do you remember, Bert? that I had that big box speaker in the back. It was literally like a speaker from, from a
course.
stereo system.
Yeah.
And they stole that shit too. They broke into the car and stole it. And it was funny because I remember we would get pissed and I would like yell out, hey, if anybody's going to steal my shit, like, why don't you just tell me and I'll give you $20 so that you don't break into my car?
Yeah, because they break the window, they fucking pull everything out, all the wires, everything, and you're just like, dude, now I got to pay extra
Yes.
to fix all
Yeah.
this shit. Like, dude, this
Yeah.
sucks.
And you're going to sell that shit for 10 or 15 bucks
Right.
anyway.
Yeah, because nobody's going to get it. They're going to be like, dude, you pulled that out.
No.
I have to buy the whole system. Like,
Exactly, dude. Who? I mean, I get that somebody's going to want to buy a speaker in a box for $5 or whatever it is. But, dude, I'll give you 10 to not touch my shit.
Yeah.
Like, I always thought when I was a kid, why don't you guys do it the way I remember? I don't remember what Italian movie I saw, but I remember that what they would do is they would go in and they would basically ask for money and say, this is to protect you from anybody in the neighborhood. And yes, they were protecting you from them, but they also were protecting you so that people from other parts wouldn't come, because they would be like, oh, no, you can't fuck with these guys. These guys are, they're protected by so-and-so. And so I wish that we had that. Like, that's the problem with Latino gangs. I feel like they don't have all that stuff. Like, that would be cool if they were like, hey, we're going to protect the neighborhood. Nobody's going to sell drugs here. Nobody's going to sell shit here. Nobody's going to do bad stuff here. But you guys are going to have to, pony up $20 a week or whatever that is.
right.
Like, at least that extortion racket would at least be better than what they have now. But anyway, going back to the beginning of what I was talking about is the cop in Baltimore, the female cop, who was upset at the people that were local, that were mad. But what are you supposed to do? Like, seriously, I know that it's easy to say what's the right thing to do, no matter what the cost. But there's always a cost analysis to see, give and take, how much. And that's my point right there. Like, that's my point right there. What are you supposed to do when you live in the hood and you don't want your kid shot on the way to school, but you also don't want your kid shot because you told the cops who did this? So, and by the way, I just had a thought. What if anybody that gave information, we would move them to a different neighborhood? But you'd have to move them to a way different neighborhood. You'd have to move their whole family. And would that help the neighborhood? I don't know. I don't know that it would help the neighborhood if you started getting rid of, because what you're getting rid of are the people that are trying to clean the neighborhood in the first place. Right? So what would be left? People that, who else, you know what I mean? There are always going to be people that don't want to get involved, don't want to say anything.
Always.
And there's way more of those kids. So I don't know what to do, except I think the solution is give these kids hope, man. And give these kids not just hope, but like let these kids feel that they can accomplish something in the world, that they can make something of themselves, that they could, like you said, I don't want to be the biggest guy in the world or whatever, but I just want to move out of the neighborhood and let them know that.
I want to live comfortable. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, but is that what most people want? Like, is that what most people in America want, to just live comfortable? I feel like a big part of it is everybody wants way more than they think they need, or want more than they even really want. Like, it's always more, you know what I mean?
Yes.
It's always the bigger this, the bigger this, the bigger that, the bigger. And I kind of feel like, are we getting lost in this, man? Are we really? Think about this. Right now, you have a bunch of people running for office, and most of them are trying to tell you all the shit that's wrong. And I think that you get stuck in that moment of like, man, it sucks. America's broken. We got to fix it, and it's fucked up. And how do we take care of it? I just kind of feel like we need to reset and figure that out. And I don't know that's I don't know that there's a solution other than that. And look, man, magnet schools have helped with the kids that wanted to excel. And you know what, dude? We're gonna have to do an interview because I actually want to interview somebody in the school system that actually knows what's going on, because I want to know if all these magnet schools are helping or hurting the neighborhood.
Right.
Because
dude, they're popping up all over the place, like in East LA.
Right.
Dude, it's insane. I'm like, damn. Like literally, almost every corner they're popping up.
Right. Well, here's the thing, though. They got to produce results. I don't know exactly how they work.
Right.
My understanding of them is that you got to kind of produce results, but maybe not.
I don't know.
And then they got to apply to get in. It's got to be a certain standard.
Yeah, it's a lottery or something like that. I don't know how.
Right. I'm down with all of that. Right. I'm cool with that. My problem is, or not problem, but I want to know what's happening to the poor kids that can't afford to go there, or can't go to the lottery, or can't go, because I feel like what we're doing is
forgetting about them,
giving up on those kids. And those are the kids that, that we got to take care of, or at least try. Those are the ones that need hope. Because if what you're saying is, basically, this is the message I'm getting. If you go to a public school, unless it's one of the really good public schools, like the one that Bert's daughter's going to go to and going to now, you're pretty much fucked. That's what it feels like we're saying. So go to one of those schools. But what if you don't get into the lottery? What if you're smart, but you don't get into the lottery and you end up at these other schools?
So, it's funny that you asked that, because my wife, she's been, we've been thinking about our daughter and her high school and thinking, different maybe charter schools or blah, blah, blah. And so she went online and she was looking at their test scores.
Right.
And the high school that my daughter would be going to is outperforming all these other schools by it's pretty crazy how good the high school is.
Sure. But let's get something, because here's where I think there's so much bullshit in people's brains, and they go, well, see, if one block away, pretty much your daughter can go to this badass school, and then one block over, you can get to that school. Yeah, but that has more to do with the parents than it does with the kids. And it's not because parents don't want to, but, look.
You could succeed in a public school. Let's just put it that way.
Yes, you can. But the difference is that
the resources are a little harder.
Way
a lot
different.
harder.
Way different.
But you can do it.
Resources are way different.
Correct.
My son took these tests in the 6th grade. They're kind of like SATs for kids,
right?
Basically, right? And dude, he had a tutor come over. You know what I mean? He took practice tests.
Yeah.
But so by the time he took the test, he pretty much knew everything that was on it, and of course he did great.
Right.
But how many kids in the hood have that ability?
Correct.
Have the ability to have a tutor come in and tell them, or even have the parents to care. Right. You know what I mean? We not only care, but we have time.
Right.
Amy has time to go take care of that stuff. We have time to go to his stuff, pick him up, drop him off, let him know. My son's going to be 13 years old this year, and he doesn't know what it's like to walk to school. He probably never will. Based on where we are and where the school is, he will never, ever know what it's like to walk to school.
See, I live right down the street from my daughter's school. We take the car.
Do you really sometimes?
Yeah, because I don't want to walk back up the hill.
Oh, wow. He literally lives one block. He goes down half a block and then left one block.
I go down
and it's
a
across
full
the
block.
street. Not a full block.
A full block.
Not a full block. You're not all the way up at the top, bro.
One house away from the top.
Okay, so it's 5/6 of a block. But you still don't go. No, but then it goes a little bit higher and then it makes a left. Anyway, you literally have to walk down one block and
make
then
a
left
up one block,
and then you're right across the street.
Walk up the hill to drop her off, and then walk back.
You still take the car because you don't want to do it.
Yep.
But she's walked back and forth, right? Ever?
No.
Seriously?
No, yeah. We've walked in the morning. Yeah, usually.
But you've never let her go alone.
No.
That is so crazy.
Yeah. I know.
Is that good or bad though?
Trust
do you know
me,
what I'm saying?
I'm even like, dude, I can't. I mean, I used to walk home from school by myself. I mean,
Dude, parents didn't give a shit about us. We were, dude. We were like Stranger Things, but
Yeah.
without bikes.
Yeah.
Because that's another thing you couldn't have in our hood. Bikes. Because if you left your bike
See
anywhere,
ya.
bye, they would take that shit. It was just ridiculous. It was fuck, dude. But going back to the kids, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna have to talk about that. I want to figure it out because this is with all the. I think that with all the stuff that people are talking about, some of this stuff is going past the cracks. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Past the cracks. And what do you do, bro? Because I'm definitely going to talk about the shooters, and I'm definitely going to talk about the fact that a lot of them are, white supremacists. But I also don't want to come off as, a person of color shitting on anybody. Because it's just about being fun, but it's about finding, ways to fix this stuff. Because everybody has to be angry and mad and pissed and shouting. And I just feel like, fuck, can we get past that, man? Like, can we be smart?
Right.
Can we speak intelligently about things? Can we get to problems without it being, personal and all this shit? And, I'm so fucking sick of everybody. Everybody thinks that because they read some shit on the internet, they know. Like, yeah, I've read a lot of books, and I can imagine what it's like, but I don't know. And I had a conversation with this guy in Ohio this weekend about growing up in the hood, and, he told me that he grew up in a trailer park, and that for him, it was just like it was for me. And I kind of had to go, no, dude, it's not the same. Dude, being poor in America is one thing. Being poor and of color is just another thing. And I wish that color had nothing to do with anything. I wish that we were colorblind. But that's not the case, man. That's just not the case. And, you know what, dude? We forgot to do something with that camera. And it's we put it on battery, so it needs to be plugged in.
Oh, nice.
But we don't have another plug-in. So
Oh, well.
No. Well, if and when it stops, I'll go get another battery and hook it up and take
Or
care
we'll
of
just
it.
end the podcast.
Well, how long has it been?
I'm not sure.
Well, you can
been-
check, right?
We've had probably 40 minutes.
40 minutes already? Dude, what are you doing,
Maybe.
bro? You could see
Oh,
it
I
right
could see
here
it.
on Adobe Audition.
No, because you started that one way early. Yeah, we're like at 35.
35 minutes. All right, well, so let's see if we last 5 minutes. So there you go, there you go, everybody. When the camera goes out, we're gonna be done. I had all these stories that I wanted to do. I swear to God, I get off on tangents. You know what? I'm gonna be a bit more concise from now on and kind of nail it a little better.
That would be nice.
Well, no, dude. It's just
See,
here
here
me,
you
bro.
go. Here you
it
go.
Always goes somewhere else.
Always.
My mind is like look at it like I would say spider web, but a spider web is actually way perfect. It's more like a bunch of trees stuck together. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so one thought comes out and a bunch of branches go, but then I go on that branch and then it turns into a different tree, and then I go to that branch, it turns into a different tree, and it never, ever stops. So I think I'm going to have to do a little bit of kind of compacting it so that we can talk about the stories, hit them, and move on. And if anybody wants to talk about the stuff. You know what? So, yeah, I guess with this little bit of time, it's not worth going into all that other stuff. So definitely going to get into... Definitely next week going to get into some of the shooter stuff. And well, listen, I'll say this much. And this is kind of real. I read up on this, and the stats are pretty much this: about 95 to 98% of all men that have done mass shootings in this country either don't have a girlfriend, don't have a wife, and aren't getting laid. So basically, it's a bunch of dudes not getting pussy. I read that the same statistic pretty much applies to not just mass shooters, but to men that join Aryan groups, and it also applies to the majority of men that join terrorist groups. So basically, all these dudes are snapping because they're not getting pussy. Is basically it. But it's true. And so I did a joke. Check out the Bittermans here this week. This was the joke that did it. But I'm thinking, if we know this, right? If we know this, and ladies, I know it's easy for me to say, right? And I did a joke about if he's gay, but if we know that, you know, these guys are basically not getting laid, and this pretty much starts in you know, late high school, a little after high school. You know, first of all, for all the guys out there, statistics now are coming out. You guys are having all of you guys are having sex at a much later time, so that means that the majority of men are virgins. The majority of men are virgins up until sometime after 17 or 18 years old. So, yeah, less than half are getting laid. So if you're one of those guys right now listening and you're not getting laid, welcome to the club, bro. The majority of men are not getting laid the way you think. But here's what I'm gonna say, ladies: if you see a guy, right, or and you know he fits that pattern, yeah, maybe you fuck him. I mean, bang the guy. Here's what I'm saying: within your lifetime, right, ladies, you're gonna bang a handful of guys that you wish you hadn't banged. Wouldn't you want one of those handful of guys to be a guy that never shot anybody up because you gave him a BJ or a handy or did him somewhere? I'm just saying, if we have the solution to this problem, maybe we implement it. And you know, not every woman is not every guy and every woman are attractive. So you know, I guess what I'm saying is, ladies, you got to take one for the team. And oh my God, let's end on this. From a long time ago, I've always been on this. The difference between men and women is we take one for the team. Think about that. Maybe that's a big reason that, like, women don't snap as much, because we do take one for the team. There are way more than a handful of chicks in my lifetime that I banged that I shouldn't. I look back and go, well, yeah, but you know, we were out and you know. Somebody was with somebody, and you know, one of the guys was one of them. So we just ended up like, hey, this is the one I'm taking home. So you take her, I'll take this one. So I guess we men take a hit for the team just so that our friend can get laid. I think that all men would take the team if we knew that banging that ugly, overweight, or whatever your version of ugly is, but if banging that ugly fat chick is going to make sure that she doesn't snap and shoot up or whatever, I would do it in a heartbeat. And I'm not even kidding. Like, and I think a bunch of men would too. Hell, we've done it for our friends so that they wouldn't, like, you know what I mean? So that they could bang the chick. We're down. So I think this is a conversation we need to have. I think this is a conversation we need to have with a woman too. Put that one down too, Bert. We got to get a woman in here to talk about what taking a hit for the team and if this applies to them and how much they would do. Because there is kind of a pushy Me Too-y thing. But on the other hand, if the stats are accurate and these guys get... Because I don't know any dude, other than serial killers who are out of their minds, but of these mass shooters, or crazy, you're not crazy, mentally, like actual crazy, but I mean these dudes that act this out, I don't know any of these guys. Like, dudes that are getting laid just don't do crazy shit like that, is what I'm saying. So now that we know, we have the solution. Mull it over. We'll get back to this next week and see if I have a guest next week. Might bring in a chick just to kind of see, you know, to feel this whole situation out. Because I don't want to be, you know, sexist about it, chauvinist about it. But I definitely think there's something here. Hit me up on Carlos Mencia at carlosmencia.com. Let me know if you have any ideas. Next week, we'll go through the news. This one was impromptu. I just came in and said, yeah, we're not ready for it, but let's make it happen. It'll be smoother and smoother and smoother as we go along. Listen, let everybody know, please, subscribe to my YouTube channel and tell all your friends about it. And if you're anywhere near Lake Norman outside of Charlotte, Thursday we have one show at the Comedy Zone, one show and one show only. So hurry up and get your tickets. And Greenville, South Carolina, I will be at the Comedy Zone Friday, Saturday, and Sunday of this week. So that'll be, let me see, tomorrow will be the 21st, 22nd, 23rd, 24th, and 25th, I believe. Anyway, world, I'm back, man. I'm excited. I've been through, you know what? We're going to continue this. It is the journey. That's why it's called the journey. I don't think I'm ever going to want to end the show. It's just going to be something that has to happen for whatever reason. And I'm always going to want to be talking because this is what I do. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for listening to the podcast. On behalf of producer Bert and Carlos Mencia, remember, if you ain't laughing, you ain't living.